Welcome to the Tier 2 training on produce safety, brought to you by the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association with support from La Moñtanita Co-op and the Wallace Center at Winrock International. In this series of training modules, which are designed to support the New Mexico Tier 1 and Tier 2 on-farm and classroom trainings, we discuss how to conduct a thorough food safety risk assessment of your farm.
Module 5 on sanitation is all about keeping things reasonably clean, tidy, and safe from contamination. Sanitation is all about what you do before you even begin to harvest and pack produce. It's a great idea to create a checklist that makes it easy to be sure you've covered everything. Can you identify all the food contact surfaces that you use in harvesting, such as harvesting tools, harvest totes, carts, or trailer beds? Can you identify all the food contact surfaces in washing, packing, and delivery of products, such as sinks, salad spinners, wash pack line, or delivery vehicles? Do you know the difference between cleaning and sanitizing? It seems obvious that food contact surfaces should be cleaned regularly and kept sanitary. And the objective of cleaning and sanitizing food contact surfaces is to remove food or nutrients that bacteria need to grow and to kill those bacteria that are present. But not everyone understands the difference between cleaning and sanitizing. Cleaning always comes first. You cannot sanitize a dirty surface. And remember that the water used for washing food contact surfaces must be free from detectable E. coli. There are 4 steps to cleaning and sanitizing food contact surfaces, whether it's harvesting knives and totes, work tables, or packing lines. Step 1 is to remove the dirt and debris. Step 2 is to scrub with soap and water. Step 3 is to rinse off soap and dirt. Step 4 is to apply a sanitizer, if you choose to do so, that is approved for use on food contact surfaces. This can be sprayed on, or you can dunk an object into a solution of sanitizer and water. Make sure you follow the label directions for the concentration of sanitizer to water. Check to see how long the sanitizer needs to be on the surface to be effective, and only rinse if the label directions indicate it's necessary. And always allow the surface to air dry. Again, make it easy to do the right thing. It's important that the clean, sanitized equipment and food contact surfaces drain dry and are stored dry so as to prevent bacterial growth. Once you have a good procedure for cleaning equipment and tools, are you also ensuring that clean tools and equipment are stored so they stay clean, dry, and safe from recontamination? Are the cleaning materials and equipment you use also handled and stored safely to prevent recontamination? Or do you have a bucket of dirty water and a filthy mop sitting right in the middle of the packing area? Do you see the problem in these 2 photographs? Storing dirty and rusty tools along with clean tools, rubber bands, and plastic bags for packing greens in the same dirty toolbox is the kind of thing I often see. It doesn't take much to improve on this practice. And these clean harvest totes are color-coded, they're cleaned, and they're stored upside down and off the ground, which is great, but they're also placed under an overhang where they're vulnerable to rainwater, possibly mixed with bird poop from bird roosting on the roof. This would take a relatively inexpensive improvement to reduce risk. So how do you keep things reasonably clean out in the field? Are you keeping harvest totes or field packaging off the ground? Remember, you're probably going to stack totes or boxes once they're full, and the bottom of one dirty box can contaminate the harvested product below it. And how are you transporting harvesting equipment and supplies out to the field? Yep, there's that toolbox again. Can you ensure that full harvest totes or field packed product are protected out in the field or in transit back to the packing area? Are transport vehicles clean? What was the last thing you hauled in that trailer? Was it trash? Was it compost? And if you can't clean the trailer or truck bed surface thoroughly, a simple solution is to cover the bed with clean, flattened boxes. Your washing and packing areas don't have to be state of the art, but is it possible to keep them clean? And keep in mind, the easier it is to clean, the less time it takes. Packing areas usually have some activities where water is present. Where there is water, there is higher risk of cross-contamination. And how are you managing drainage of gray water from cleaning and washing? Do you have any issues with standing water? Drains are a great spot for Listeria to thrive. Do you clean and sanitize them regularly? And then there are other areas that you want to keep dry. So is there a way for your workflow to reduce risk, or are people and vehicles tracking dirty water back and forth? What are your food contact surfaces made from? Smooth and permeable surfaces such as food-grade plastics and stainless steel are easiest to clean and sanitize. Wood is porous and the hardest to keep sanitary unless it's sealed. If you have unsealed wood food contact surfaces, you need to be able to get them reasonably clean by scrubbing with soap or power washing, and then allow them to dry completely between uses. You could also seal them with marine paint. If you are power washing, keep in mind that it can aerosolize pathogens, so think about the best place to do it so you aren't cleaning one item while contaminating another. Are your dry and cold storage areas for packed product and packaging kept clean, tidy, dry, and safe from contamination? Or do you need to make some changes? Sometimes people are sloppy, and sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. Are you using new or reused packaging? If it's reused, can it be cleaned and sanitized, or do you need to use a new plastic liner? And what does your customer require? Agricultural water is also the water you use to clean equipment, wash hands, and cool or wash produce. You can't expect to eliminate every food safety risk in the field, and post-harvest water has the potential to spread contamination broadly. You may use municipal water or groundwater, wells and springs, or treated surface water, but untreated surface water is not allowed for these uses. And the water must be tested and free from detectable E. coli. Whenever you use water, you increase the risk of spreading contamination. Can you avoid washing your produce, which may also save you time and money? Some crops may even be field packed without washing. It helps you to grow clean, meaning you use mulch on the beds with drip irrigation tape underneath or buried, and heavy mulching or cover cropping between rows to reduce mud and dust. Some farmers wipe crops with rags or cotton gloves while harvesting, such as tomatoes and peppers. This can be risky, and you really have to pay attention to possible cross-contamination. But if you have a system, it may be usable. It will depend on the crop, what your buyer wants, and whether you need to hydrocool crops to remove field heat. If your post-harvest water isn't free of detectable E. coli, you can find ways to treat it. Some examples are dosatron systems, ozonators, UV filters, and inline injectors. You need to find a system that can handle the volume of water used. A farmer I work with in Pennsylvania uses a UV filter on the water coming from his well into the packing shed because the well generally is not free of E. coli. If you use a treatment system of some kind, you need to gauge how often to test the water from that delivery system to see if the treatment is effective. What is your method for washing produce, and have you thought about using a sanitizer? Here is the recommendation for sanitizer use in produce wash water. For a single pass spray system where the water drains away continuously, no sanitizer is necessary if the water is free of detectable E. coli. But if you are recirculating water to wash multiple batches or submerging crops in water, it's strongly recommended that you add sanitizer to the wash water. The sanitizer doesn't kill off all the pathogens, but it can prevent cross-contamination.
This is a single pass water system with potable water. Because we're testing our water twice a year, we do not have to sanitize our wash water in the packing house.
So we use Sanitate 5.0, which is a hydrogen peroxide solution, and for organics practice, it is OMRI certified. So that's the one that we chose to use versus chlorine. It's a little easier to make sure that your concentrations are correct. You have a lot less, you have to fuss with it a lot less.
I believe it's less sensitive to pH.
Correct. And because we have well water, in the research on what would be the best practice, it is not the cheapest, that's for sure. But it is definitely, it works well for the well water, and it works well for what we wanted to do and kind of our practices. So the Sanitate goes through a dosatron. There are two types of dosatrons, one that can handle the Sanitate and chemicals, and one that's just a regulator. So you have to be careful. If you're going to put a system in, make sure that it can handle the concentration of hydrogen peroxide. It does eat through fittings pretty quickly, so many of the fittings that we have been changed a few times. We like to use these, spray and release, so that we're not wasting as much water. But it does eat through the fittings, so you have to kind of be careful with,
How frequently do you need to change the fittings?
On the nozzles themselves, as you can see, there's been a lot of hose replacement parts, usually twice.
A season.
In a season. We'll go through two of these. Also, it's on a ball valve, so these, with the chemicals, eats that little ball valve, and then they start to just leak. For the fittings themselves, the brass fittings, usually the start of the season.
Have you done some research to be sure you have the sanitizer that's appropriate for the job? The Produce Safety Alliance has created a comprehensive guide to sanitizers that you can find online. Is the sanitizer approved for your intended use, for washing produce or sanitizing food contact surfaces? Are you reading and following the label directions and using the correct concentration? Do you know if a rinse step is required? And if you mix the sanitizer in a spray bottle, is the bottle clearly identified? Do you have the tools you need to monitor the sanitizer level in the solution so you can take corrective actions when needed? You may also need to monitor the pH and turbidity depending on the crop, wash method, and the sanitizer that you use. Make sure you have the right testing tool for your sanitizer. Some fruits and vegetables, such as cantaloupes and tomatoes, are vulnerable to infiltration, particularly in dunk tank washing and cooling. Microbiological infiltration can occur through the stem scar and in wounded or bruised fruit. If you're submerging the crop, you need to control the water temperature so that it is not too much cooler, within 10 degrees, than the pulp temperature of the crop. As you create your systems for cleaning and sanitizing, one useful tool is a standard operating procedure, or an SOP. SOPs spell out what you're trying to achieve and how to go about it. It's a way to work out a tried and true system and get it out of your head and in a form that someone else can implement. And it's a helpful training tool for your workers. And to keep it all straight, you can create a schedule for what, when, and how. How often you clean or sanitize depends on your own risk assessment. There is no preset or required schedule. A farm will never be a sterile environment, but it's important to have common sense practices in place to keep everything reasonably clean. Growers use a wide variety of packaging and packing methods, and well-designed packing lines can certainly increase efficiency, but they are not required for food safety. Just follow these common sense rules. All effort should be taken to prevent damage or contamination of the produce during harvesting and packing. Train your people, communicate well, and be a good model for food safety practices so they become part of normal routine. Organize things so it's easy to do the right thing. Store clean equipment and packaging so they remain clean and dry. Clean up inside and around the buildings regularly to avoid creating comfortable habitat for critters. The bottom line is keep things tidy, clean, and sanitary.